Good day, everyone. Just wanted to share with you all the week in books. First off is Warrior Magazine #1. This completes my collection. When I was a kid, I got a copy of Warrior Magazine. I ordered it, and I was interested in Axel Press Button. He just looked really interesting. But the stories I gravitated to were The V for Vendetta and Marvel Man, later known as Miracle Man, by Alan Moore. It was my introduction to the man and his work. And this was before he came to the U.S. and did Swamp Thing. So, at last I get a copy. And then I got these very cheap. I was surprised. Warren Magazine's Warrior, this is issue #1. I'm sorry, not Warrior, The Spirit, by Mr. Eisner. And by looking at these, it seems to reprint Eisner's best work after the Second World War. Issue #3, 5. The magazines are in very nice condition. I think I got them off for $10. 6, 7. If any of you are interested in Frank Miller's work, you can see an influence from Eisner. It's quite clear. 9, 10. This is a nice cover. 11, 12. I'm sorry, 10. 13. Issue 14. 15 and 16. And I believe most of these are after 1946. I could be wrong, but as I read some of them, that seemed to be the case, and they were very nice. Only got one book this week, and I'm almost done with it. The Forgotten Memoir of John Knox, A Year in the Life of a Supreme Court Clerk in FDR's Washington. Edited by Dennis Hutchinson and David Garrow. This is the personal interest in this period and in general American history. Mr. Knox was a secretary to McReynolds, James McReynolds, who was one of the 4 dissenting judges in the 30s, which gave FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a nightmare because they kept striking down the New Deal. And this wonderful memoir, written by Mr. Knox, but wasn't published till the early 2000s, is his clerkship with McReynolds. And early on, he has to go through 500 petitions of certiorari. Those are the petitions that are submitted to the court, and the court may or may not consider them. And he has a month to summarize each one, the facts and the law, on one page. And McReynolds makes him live in the apartment complex that he lives in. And there's 2 servants. There's the maid and the personal servant to McReynolds, and they're both African American. And McReynolds was openly racist and anti-Semitic, to the point that there was at least 2 Jewish members of the court at the time, Justice Brandeis and Justice Cardozo. And he would not be seated by Brandeis. And when Brandeis died, he wouldn't sign the condolence card. And Knox was from Chicago, although his parents, originally from the South, was not racist nor anti-Semitic, and he just found this baffling. And the way McReynolds ran the House, again, basically in a very autocratic manner, is just utterly fascinating. And, for example, Knox has to live in the apartment complex. And although dinners are served there, lunch and breakfast, he's never invited to eat there. He has to walk 8 blocks to the nearest restaurant, which is a Chinese restaurant. And he's expected to be there whenever the judge is not there to answer personal phone calls and to even answer his personal calling cards. It's a fascinating memoir. I'm just intrigued by this entirely. Let's see, this is a picture of of Knox, and they're pictured as the great Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. He was set to retire at this time. And the man in question here, this is the Harry Parker, a fascinating man. Again, he was the African American messenger and servant to McReynolds. He was a young Chief Justice Rehnquist, later on Chief Justice of the U.S. John Roberts is now Chief Justice of the Court, and he replaced him when he passed away. And there's McReynolds. McReynolds in Supreme Court history is considered one of the worst Supreme Court justices that we've ever had. And I had read that his personality was pretty awful, and this basically confirms it. Wonderful memoir. Enjoyed it very much. And finally, this wonderful treat. I got most of these, and I've been going through them. Dark Horses, Cheval Noir. And this is a beautiful cover by the late Dave Stevens. And what this is issue number 1, is an anthology of primarily European work. The usual heavy metal artists. And it's just wonderful. I'll show you some in just a bit. Inside. This is issue number 1. Two, 3, 4 with a cover art by John Bolton. 5, Mobius cover. 6, the much neglected Mike Kaluta, issue number 6. Another nice cover by Mr. Stevens. Number 8. Nice cover by Mobius. He draws women splendidly. I like this cover very much. 10. And that's Mr. Giger, famed designer of Alien. Let's see. As you can see, it's all in black and white. And it's an anthology of stories. Oh, this is the Forever War. On a side note, this is adaptation of Joe Haldeman's wonderful novel. Haldeman fought in the Vietnam War, and he wrote this novel called The Forever War, which is really about Vietnam. And it's an endless war that Earth is having with an alien race, and people have forgotten the reasons for the war. And it's rather sad because many of the soldiers, of course, they die, but since they have to travel to the far-off galaxy to fight the aliens, when they come back, 20, 50, 100 years have passed, and their families are all gone. Oh, and this one has Mr. Giger's. I think it's Giger how you say this man's name. I think he just passed away a few years ago. This one has art by, let's see. Many by Jacques Tardy, Choi Ten, and Peters. They appeared in heavy metal a lot. Giger, Haldeman, and Marvano. Andreas, which I believe was from Belgium. Kelio and Vatine, and again Philippe Joulet. If I'm correct, Philippe Joulet was a founding member of Metal Hurlant, which was turned into Heavy Metal Magazine. And this is some of his work. So that's issue number 10. $11. Mike Mignola cover, 12. 13. I think this is 14. Can't see it that well. Forever War continues here. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. Just a moment here. Okay. This is 20. And I believe this one begins a David Lynch strip, The Angriest Dog in the World. And this was after Twin Peaks, I believe, had been canceled. Or, yeah, early stages of Twin Peaks. It's just been canceled. The show was supposed to be canceled. So these are from the early 90s. 21. 22. 23. 24. 25. 26. This Mobius cover, and it begins a Mobius story, The Man from Seguri. This was an all-new story by Mobius for this publication, and this is a sequel to The Airtight Garage. And I've not read this series. Let's see. 27. 28. 29. I'm sorry. This is no. 29 is here. Sorry. Yeah. 30. 31. 32. 33. 34. 35. 36. 37. 38. 39. 40. And I'm missing some issues. 43. This is not complete. 44. 45. The liberatory cover, but I don't think it's liberatory. 46. And this begins a Mobius strip. I think it's the Blueberry reprint of his Western. 48. 49. And the final issue, 50. And I guess it was canceled right after this. This gives you again some of the artwork. Again, it was published by Dark Horse. The Man from Seguri, this is Mobius. And I'm expecting more books this week, so it's going to be a busy week. Thanks for viewing.